Good day, everyone. Today's lecture will be focusing on DepEd Order number 7, Series 2015. This is actually the first of a series of the DepEd orders on hiring starting 2015 onward. So it is still applicable until today, and this will serve as guide to those aspiring to become part of the Department of Education teaching force or of the public school. So there are guidelines that needed to be followed in order to pass the qualification standards of the Department of Education, and of course to become part of the almost 1 million teaching force in the entire Republic of the Philippines. So again, this is DepEd Order number 7, series of 2015, entitled Hiring Guidelines for Teacher 1 Positions, effective school year 2015-2016, and of course onward. So it's still applicable today. It is still the DepEd Order that is being used by the Department of Education in assessing applicants for the position kindergarten teacher up to grade 10 or the junior high school, because there is a separate issuance for the hiring of senior high school teachers, which contained in a separate DepEd Order number 3 series of 2016. So this will serve as guide for all would be or for all who are planning to become part of the Department of Education. You take a look at this because this is your preparation. It means to say that even if you are not yet a teacher, you have to consider this. You have to look into this because it will affect your application if you have a very low grades in your pre-service education or in your baccalaureate degree. So let us try to look at the hiring guidelines for teacher 1 positions effective school year 2015-2016 of the Department of Education. So under this DepEd Order 7, number 1 talks about the background and rationale. It states that the Department of Education recognizes that the success of any education system greatly relies on the competence of its teachers. Hence, one of the primary issues the department aims to address through its comprehensive implementation of the K-12 basic education program is the need for highly competent teachers in public elementary and secondary schools. The program plans to achieve this objective through significantly improving professional standards that will better ensure that the teachers hired are able to substantially contribute to the development of lifelong learners. Furthermore, the hiring system is also set to provide opportunities for the absorption of all qualified kindergarten volunteers and LGU hired teachers into the national plantilla. Faithful to the merit and fitness principle of the civil service doctrine of the Constitution and DepEd's continuing thrust to enhance the quality of basic education, these hiring guidelines are hereby promulgated for Teacher 1 positions consistent with the pertinent provisions of existing laws, rules, and regulations. So that is why this is very relevant. This is the reason, the rationale behind DepEd Order number 7, series of 2015. And the scope include in these guidelines will apply to the filling up of newly created and or natural vacancies. When we say newly created, could be included in the GAA or the General Appropriation Act, which is passed by Congress, and that includes creation of new items and or natural vacancies, or those which are previously occupied by teachers who retired, who are separated from the service, and that previous item is now called a natural vacancies, which is occupied for teacher 1 positions in public elementary, including of course kindergarten. And secondary schools shall cover the following areas aspects. So it means to say that this DepEd Order number 7 series of 2015 will include announcement of vacancies and the receipt of applications, verification and validation of documents submitted. Usually, 2.1 is done in the school level. It's sometimes the school are the repository of the applications, and then it is forwarded to the division office. Then 2.3, evaluation and selection of qualified applicants. 2.4, appointment of qualified applicants. And 2.5, monitoring of division office compliance with hiring guidelines by the regional office. So this is the scope of DepEd Order number 7, series of 2015. So there are also definition of terms that I would like to share to you coming from DepEd Order 7 Series 2015. 3.1, for example, refers to applicant. Who are the applicants or who is the applicant for the position? Applicant refers to a person who holds a valid certificate of registration or professional license as a teacher from the Professional Regulation Commission seeking to be appointed to a Teacher 1 position. So it is important that the applicant is a holder of is valid certificate of registration or professional license from the PRC. 3.2, bona fide resident refers to an applicant who has been residing for at least 6 months at the barangay, municipality, city, or province in which the school being applied to for a teaching position is located. Why there is a need to identify this bona fide residence? Because we have that so-called localization law. And under the localization law, those who are local of the place are the one priorities. They are the priorities in hiring, provided that there is a vacant position or there is an item in that school. Because you cannot insist bona fide resident status or the localization law if there is no item or position that is being created in one particular locality. You can only insist a localization law if you are a local of the place and then you are included in the rank list or in the RQA and you have that item, so you can insist. But if there is none, even if you are a bona fide resident, then you cannot insist hiring you. The DepEd cannot hire you if there are no items or no vacant position in the school where you are located. Now, usually it is evidence. The bona fide resident is evidenced by the PDS or the personal data sheet, which is Form 212 revised 205, and a voter's certification or identification card, which you get or which is issued by the Office of the COMELEC, the Commission on Election, or any proof of residency as deemed acceptable by the school screening committee. So it in the school level, the school level, there is already the school screening committee which will screen the attached documents or the attachments in the application letter of the teacher applicant. 3.2.1, an applicant who was taught an LGU funded as an LGU funded teacher, like this is commonly called as a locally funded teacher, kindergarten volunteer teacher, the KVT, or substitute teacher for at least one school year in the barangay, municipality, city, or province where the school being applied to for a teaching position is located shall also be considered as a bona fide resident to be validated by a certificate of employment. So, That is, even if you are not a local of the place and yet you have been there for so long a time, you are already considered as local of the place if you have been an LGU funded teacher, a kindergarten or substitute for at least a year in that particular place. So need to look into this, need to consider this, because this will be a guide. This is a guide for you to know, so that when you submit your application for a teaching position in a particular school, you have already that guide. You have already that eye view, bird's eye view of what will happen. So you will not be hurt when you are not accommodated because you know already the guidelines. 3.3 locality. When we say locality, this refers to the barangay, municipality, city, or province where the school being applied for is located. Um, Further, in the discussion of this DepEd Order 7, if you pass the qualification standards and you become part of the RQA, or the Registry of Qualified Applicants, it means to say you got 70 in the RQA. If there are two of you in the RQA, means to say both of you got 70 and above, you are both qualified. Now, if both of you are qualified, the local of the barangay where the school is located and there is a vacancy will be the priority. So, example, there are 5 who got 70. And in school A, there is a vacancy. School A is located in barangay A, where the number 5 in the RQA resides. Under DepEd Order 7, that will be the priority because he is or she is a local of the place. Otherwise, if there is no local of the place among the 5, what to follow is the RQA. Whoever is the rank 1 will be the first to be accommodated since there is no local of the place. 3.4 qualified applicant refers to an applicant who has been screened and who therefore meets the evaluation and selection criteria used by the school's division as provided for in the enclosed guidelines. Registry of Qualified Applicants, or the RQA, refers to the official list of applicants who obtained an overall score of 70 points and above based on the criteria set and as a result of the evaluation and selection processes. So, these are the things that you need to consider. Simple definition of terms are very important. Definitions of terms is important because this will give us a glimpse of what will to understand along the way in the reading of the whole DepEd Order number 7. Okay, applicants. So when we say applicants, that is already defined in letter A or in 3.1. So applicant are those holders with certificate of registration or professional ID from the PRC. So that applicant will be evaluated using the following criteria. So look into the criteria. The criteria include um, education, and the points for education is 20, teaching experience 15, let pivot rating 15, specialized training and skills 10, interview 10, demonstration teaching 15, communication skills 15, a total of 100 points. So look, um, education, let pivot rating is part of the pre-service education, which I was discussing you in the previous slides, that in the previous video that I presented. So it has to be a motivation to all of us, especially you college students taking up Bachelor of Elementary, Secondary, or Kindergarten education. That education is very important. Your grades is very important because the higher the rating in your GWA or the general weighted average, the higher the possibility that you got the point, because education is 20 points. So it is very, very important. Do not set aside education. Take it seriously, because that will be an added advantage to you if you have a better grades during your college days, during your pre-service education. So let us now run down the criteria. Let us now look one by one. Let us now have a rundown of what are to look into with the following criteria. Okay. Education, 20 points. According to DepEd Order Number 7, Series 2015, education shall be rated in terms of the applicant's academic achievement. Thus, all subjects with corresponding units must be included in the computation. Rating of education shall be based on the following equivalents, with 1 as the highest and 3 as the lowest, as you can see in the in your screen. So, for example, the general weighted average, usually the general weighted average, or the GWA that we are usually calling it, is issued by the school where you finished or where you graduated, and the equivalent points. So there in the screen that you have, you can see the equivalent point for the general weighted average. So if the general weighted average is 1, the equivalent points 18. If the GWA is 1.1, 17.4, 1.2, 16.8, 1.3, 16.2, 1.4, 15.6, 1.5, 15, 1.6, 14.4, 1.7, 13.8, 1.8, 13.2, 1.9, 12.6, flat 2, 12, 2.1, 11.4, 2.2, 10.8, 2.3, 10.2, 2.4, 9.6, 2.5, 9, 2.6, 8.4, 2.7, 7.8, 2.8, 7.2, 2.9 to 3, 6.6. When the percentage rating is used, the following table of equivalence shall be used, with 1 as the highest and 3 as the lowest. That is why, my dear students watching, listening to me, you cannot just simply say that it's okay to get 3, anyway it's still passing. What will I do with the excess? Because there are some students who say, sir, it's okay to get 75. If I got a grade of 90, what will I do to the rest of the 15? Or if I get 100, what will I do to the rest of the 25? So it's okay to have 75, anyway it's still passing. It will not define me. Those are the reasons of some of my students who get 75. But if you look into the criteria for applying to a teaching position in the government, one of the criteria is education. So therefore, focus on your education, have a better grade. If you can have a flat one grade, because that will give you a 20 points. So it's not that easy. You cannot just simply say it's okay to be of 75, because you will only get a grade if you have an average of 2.9 to 3. What you have is 6.6. So it's very, very low. Now, so if it is a percentage, there is an equivalent percentage rating to the GWA, 99 to 100. If the rating is 99 to 100, then that is 1. 97.75 to 98.75, 1.1. 96.5 to 97.5, 1.2. 95.25 to 96.25, 1.3. 94 to 95, 1.4. 92.75 to 93.75, 1.5. 91.5 to 92.5, 1.6. 90.25 to 91.25, 1.7. 89 to 90, 1.8. 87.75 to 88.5, 1.9. 86.5 to 87.5, 2. 85.25 to 86.25, 2.1. 84 to 85, 2.2. 82.75 to 83.75, 2.3. 81.5 to 82.5, 2.4. 80.25 to 81.25, 2.5. 79 to 80, 2.6. 77 to 75.75 to 78.75, 2.7. 76.5 to 77.5, 2.8. 75 to 76.25, 2.9 to 3. See, so the rating that you got from your teachers has a bearing in your application for the teaching profession in the public school, because that is one of the criteria. Applicants with non-education degrees, for example, of applicants with non-education degrees who took up other courses before they got an additional certificate of professional teaching, they shall be rated using their GWAS in their baccalaureate degree and the 18 professional units in education. If the school issues a certification of GWA with a corresponding percentage rating that does not conform to the above table, the committee shall refer to the grading system of the school. For schools with unique grading system, a corresponding transmutation table shall be constructed, because there are schools, if I'm not mistaken, like Ateneo, their grade is A plus, B plus, C. That's why it's a unique grading system, so it has to be transmuted accordingly. Applicants with a master's degree, MA or MS, so Master of Arts or Master of Science, shall be given plus 1 point. So after you finish baccalaureate, after you finish your course, continue enrolling in the postgraduate education, MA or MS, because you will be given plus 1 point, while applicants with master's degree, MA holder with a doctorate or PhD or EDD shall be given plus 2 points. So this is the rundown of the education. One of the criteria for those who are applying in the public schools. Under 7.1.2, there are additional requirements for kindergarten applicants. Remember, kindergarten is already institutionalized as part of the basic education program. That's why it is called K to 12, because K there it stands for kindergarten plus 6 years elementary, 4 years junior high school, 2 years senior high school, a total of 13. That's why it is called K to 12, because kindergarten plus 12. That comprises the basic education system or the basic education program. So if the applicant is applying for a kindergarten teacher, he or she must have obtained any of the following degrees or its equivalent. So aside from the bachelor degree in education, for example, bachelor degree in secondary education, that applicant, that kindergarten teacher applicant must also be a holder of any of the following degrees, like Bachelor in Early Childhood Education, Bachelor of Science in Preschool Education, Bachelor of Science in Family Life and Child Development, Bachelor in Elementary Education with specialization in kindergarten, preschool, or early childhood education, Bachelor in Elementary Education, major in teaching early grades, Bachelor of Arts or Science degree in discipline allied to education such as psychology, nursing, music and arts, etc., with at least 18 units in content courses or subjects in ECE. So please consider this for those who are buying or for those who are planning to apply as kindergarten teacher. So there are also equivalent to that of the bachelor's degree. It could be bachelor in elementary education, major in special education or SPED with 18 units in early childhood education or the ECE, Bachelor of Secondary Education with additional diploma in ECE, including practice teaching in kindergarten education. So these are the equivalent courses for those who are vying for the position as kindergarten teacher in the public school. Other courses also or other degree courses and with at least 18 units in early childhood education is considered, and that the division selection committee may consider any other bachelor's or similar bachelor's degree in early education. So in cases, so just in case, where there are limited eligible teachers with ECE units, especially during the time that the kindergarten is starting, it's not yet in full blown, there are limited teacher applicants in the kindergarten who possess or who possesses the qualification for kindergarten teacher. Hence, DepEd issued this as an additional measure just in case there are limited eligible teachers. Upon appointment, so the applicant already in the RQA issued an appointment already by the superintendent. The teacher shall be required by the school's division office to earn ECE units gradually. So 9 units of ECE may be earned at the end of the year 1, 18 units on year 2, and 21 units year 3. Kindergarten teacher applicants must not be more than, oh, please take note, kindergarten teacher applicants must not be more than 45 years old. So if you are already 45, do not pursue kindergarten units because you can no longer teach in the kindergarten class except for personal use. You can still use that as your additional degree handling children, well, that's okay. You can still um, do the same. Kindergarten teachers actually must be earlier than 45 because the temperament, the patient, children of this level of this these children in the kindergarten sometimes need much attention than those in the higher grade. So it entails a lot of patience on the part of the kindergarten teacher. And if he or she is old enough that he is irritated once children are very noisy, etc. So need to think about it, especially if planning to be a kindergarten teacher. Additional requirements for SPED elementary applicants, he or she must possess any of the following qualifications. So those who are planning to become SPED teachers, SPED elementary applicants, he or she must possess any of the following qualifications. So this is an added qualifications to the elementary SPED applicants. Educational qualification BS ED or BS Special Education. The requirement is with specialization in SPED undergrad. For BS ED, BS SPED, requirement with 18 units MA in SPED and 3 years actual teaching in SPED plus a very satisfactory performance rating or BS performance rating. BS ED, BS SPED with 15 units MA SPED and 4 years of actual teaching in SPED and performance rating of very satisfactory. BSE Ed, BS SPED with 12 units in MA SPED and 5 years of actual teaching in SPED and a VS performance rating. And BSE Ed, BSE with 9 units MA in SPED and 6 years actual teaching in SPED and VS performance rating. BSE Ed, BS SPED or BSE with teaching experience in SPED or inclusive setting and of course a VS performance rating. So additional requirements for SPED elementary applicants. For those applicants with willingness to handle children with special needs. So please take into consideration the following educational qualifications and of course the added requirements in order for you to be accommodated in the SPED elementary. In cases again where applicants do not have the appropriate, because there are really time that there are shortage in applicants because of their appropriate educational qualifications, they may still be evaluated but shall be categorized separately from those who have met the said requirements. So there will be a category for those who have met the requirement, and for those who have not met the requirement, they will be categorized separately by the SDO. So he or she must have also at least 3 years of experience in providing educational services to any of the categories of children with special needs. There are institutions, though they are not schools, but they are catering to children with special needs or to children whose needs are different from those who are normal. So that can also be verified by a certification from the principal or from the owner of the institution, and to be submitted as part of the application of the teacher applicant. A certification from the principal that the applicant has or had a very satisfactory performance rating for the last 3 years and must be submitted also as part of the application. So that's it. These are the things that you need to consider for the education alone, for the education criterion alone, because this will be your edge to other applicants. Why? You have already the information, you already have the knowledge of what they are going to look into when you apply for a kindergarten, SPED teacher, grades 1 to 10 teacher. These are the things that you need to consider for education criterion alone. Next. Oh, for secondary applicants, for special education secondary applicants, he or she must possess any of the following qualifications: Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in special education. So, uh, you can be a BSc graduate and major in SPED. Bachelor of Secondary Education, plus 18 units in special education in the graduate level. When we say graduate level, in the masteral. So because masteral is part of the graduate level. Bachelor of Secondary Education plus 15 units in special education with 2 years of very satisfactory teaching experience in the regular schools, and is willing to be trained within a year. Bachelor of Secondary Education plus 12 units in special education with 4 years of very satisfactory teaching experience in the regular schools, and is willing to be trained within a year. Bachelor of Secondary Education plus 9 units in special education with 6 years of very satisfactory teaching experience in the regular schools, and is willing to train within a year. And it's those who are short of the qualification. Or Bachelor of Secondary Education plus 2 years of very satisfactory teaching experience as a SPED teacher. Please consider this for those who are planning to apply as SPED teacher. Because we do not know. Today you are still students, but at the time you are already graduate, there are a lot of applicants already. So take a look at the different scenario. Well, you can be a teacher of any level. Consider also being a SPED teacher. Try to look into the qualification on education. So let's move to the next criterion, which is teaching experience. Teaching experience is 15 points in the score. So education 20, teaching experience 15. Teaching experience in early childhood, kindergarten, preschool, elementary, secondary, tertiary, higher education, special education, alternative learning system, technical, vocational education and training or TVET, learning institutions offering culture-based education programs for indigenous peoples, even prior to passing the LET. So even prior, that is already considered as experience. For example, you graduated 2020, and then you teach in an indigenous cultural based education for 5 years. that will also be considered as um, teaching experience even if you pass the licensure exam on 2025. That is even prior the passing the licensure exam for teacher. Shall be given, take note, shall be given 1.5 points for every school year, but shall not exceed 12 points. So 1.5 for every school year, but shall not exceed 12 points. So, a school year is usually 10-month period. School year equivalent to 10 months. Prior to the pandemic, we have the regular school year opening at June, ends at March or April, a total of 10 months. Now, if you have been teaching for June to March or April, that is one school year, you are entitled to 1.5 points. If you are already 2 school years, so that will be 3 points. But for every month of service, you will be given 0.15 point. So example, if you got an 8-month experience, so only 8 months, you enter the school August until March or April. So you have 8 months in the school. That will be given 0.15 for every month of service, a total of 1 and 1.20 points. The full 0.15 point per month of teaching experience shall be given to applicants who have come from schools and institutions that are accredited or recognized. Uh, a school cannot operate without a prior permit from the Department of Education, from the government. So, a school planning to operate will apply for permit to operate in the regional office of the Department of Education through the schools division office. That's the only time that they can start operating a school. And then every year they have to renew the application until they are given, the school is given that certificate of recognition and no longer the certificate or the permit to operate. A school given a recognition has all the rights and privileges pertaining or pertaining to that recognition. But a certificate or a permit to operate usually renewable every year. So most of the schools are looking forward to having a certificate of recognition rather than a simple permit to operate papers. This will be used, the certificate issued by the schools who are accredited or recognized by the government will serve as teaching experience, and that will be computed based on the number of months or school year issued by the school. Teaching experience of kindergarten volunteer teachers before there were KVT or the kindergarten volunteer teachers, and there are still LGU funded or the locally funded teachers which shall merit additional points on top of the score that they obtain from the above point system as follows: less than 2 years plus 1 point, 2 to less than 5 years plus 2 points, 5 or more than 5 years experience, additional of 3 points. So, this will be on top of the score that they have. So, if the score they get is 73 plus they have 5 more years of experience, then that will be an added 3 points. So, for those who are kinder volunteer teacher, locally funded LGU teachers, that is their additional score on top of the score they obtain from the above point system. Next criterion, see, the next criterion is the let pivot rating, which is 15 points. In the previous lecture that I had, I was telling you that part of the pre-service education, part of the preparation is your licensure examination for teacher. Having a good result in the let or in the pivot will mean high or better rating in the application. So, look at this rating. Equivalent points of applicants' rating in the let pivot shall be as follows. If you got, for example, a let rating of 87 and above, I remember a reviewee of mine in the review center got 87 and above, 88.2, short of 3, 3 points or 2 points for the national passing, but he ranked first in the entire Bicol region's licensure exam for teacher, and now one of the teachers in the Department of Education. So see, if you got 87 and above, you will have 15 points. The maximum point that is being given for those who pass the let. I only got 13 points, so you know already where I fall. But that is only 2 points short for the licensure exam score. 84 to 86, 14. 81 to 83, 13. 78 to 80, 12. 75 to 77, 11. So see, there is an added edge for you if you got a better performance in the licensure exam for teachers. So do not aim to get 75. Aim for a better performance. Aim for 87 so that you got the 15 points. Pivot, for those who are young teachers and for our students, Pivot is Professional Board Exam for Teachers. That's the old board exam given prior to passing of RA 7836. So if you get a score of 82 and above, the points is 15. 79 to 81, 14. 76 to 78, 13. 73 to 75, 12. 70 to 72, 11. Because the passing score under pivot is 70 compared to let 75. So that's the reason why of the point system under let pivot rating. But whether you are in the pivot or in the let, if you have a better performance in the examination, you got a better points also under the criterion let pivot rating. So my dear students, my dear education students watching me, listening to me, consider passing the licensure exam for teachers with flying colors. I mean with flying colors, with good result, because that will be an added points to you, that will be an edge to other applicants. The next criterion is specialized training and skills. Specialized training and skills, which is equivalent to 10 points. So, how is a specialized training and skills evaluated? Presentation of a certificate of at least 10 days training. So, short of 10 days, no points. Even if you have a certificate, but the certificate is less than 10 days, you cannot earn a point. So, presentation of at least 10 days training, 5 points or nothing. Demonstration of the skill, so you can sing, you can dance, you can recite poems, you can radio broadcast, you can play the piano, the organ, the whatever instrument. That's demonstration of your skill. You can cook, you can arrange flower, you can do some bartending. That is an added points. You got 5, or again, if you failed to demonstrate, you got nothing. So 5 or nothing is the point. So for applicants who may be assigned to a school located in an IP community, so those with indigenous peoples community and or serving IP learners, knowledge and proficiency in the language and culture of the concerned IP community shall be validated with the following. Okay, so if you are planning to become teacher of the IP community, you will be validated on quality, indicator evidence, and of course the point. So on language proficiency, for those applying to teach in kindergarten to grade 3, fluency in the community language needed to teach using of course the local dialect. So if you can speak the community's language with adequate fluency and ease to discuss various concerns with adults, that's an added of additional 2 points. So the next criterion is interview. Interview. Interview is 10 points. You will be interviewed by a selected members of a committee, and the interviewer will ask you the following. So at least you already have the guide. What will you answer? How will you answer? If you were be given a question running from these topics. So the Division Selection Committee shall interview applicants and ensure that all have equal opportunities to be assessed. Applicants shall be interviewed on topics such as, okay, so see, topics include professional experiences. So if you have already experience teaching, handling learners, you may be asked on this line under professional experiences. Instructional skills. How do you teach? How do you manage classroom? How do you handle children? That's part of the instructional skills. Technology or computer skills. Do you manipulate the computer with ease? Do you manipulate the computer even without the assistance of other? Do you have the training on computer technology? That's part of the technology computer skills. Classroom discipline. Why did you fail the learner? Why did you pass the learner? That's part of the classroom discipline. Because you are going to give grades based on the discipline you have given to them. What else? Classroom management. Are the children in your class, based on your experience, if they are rude, how do you handle them? Children with attitude, children who comes from a well-off family and that they are assertive of their rights when they are already in the classroom, how do you handle them? That's part of the classroom management. Knowledge of content or materials. Are you a high school teacher and that you have the specialization, or are you a generalist handling all subjects? Do you have knowledge on music if you will handle music? So planning skills. Why do we need to establish routines in the classroom? Why is there a need for a teacher to say that the following are the sweepers throughout the week? Who will be the sweepers for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Why are the teachers doing that? Because that is part of the planning skills. Relationship with administration. So how do you handle the protocols, parts of the administration? How do you handle the staff? If you are a school, if you become a school head, you have the staff. How do you handle the parents? What will you say if a parents visit you one morning and tells you, how did you compute the grades of my son, my daughter? Why is she have this kind of grade? How do you handle the parents? How do you handle the students? So that's part of the question that will be thrown against you by the interviewers. And of course, your personal qualities. How is your patience? How is your character? How do the people around you manage to handle you? So that's part of the personal quality. So all of this can be thrown by the interviewers, and you do not have the hand on what to ask. But what you'd have is the preparation, because you already know what are the type of topics that they will be going to get their questions. So these are the things that you have to consider. And of course, demonstration teaching, which is 15 points. There is an attached rubrics for demonstration teaching, which I did not show in this presentation. So please, if you have time also to browse DepEd Order 7 series of 2015, there in the demonstration teaching the rubric, what will be the observers or the panel will look into once you do your demonstration teaching. So that's part of the demonstration teaching that is attached to the DepEd Order 7 as part of the uh, enclosure. So please see if you are interested to look into the things that the panel will look for demonstration teaching. The last but not the least of the criteria is the English communication skills, which is 15 points. Actually po, uh, English communication skills is a test administered by the, not anymore the NETRC or the National Education Testing and Research Center, but it is being administered now by BEA, Bureau of Exit Assessment of the Department of Education. So that BEA have a set of questions asked to the teacher applicants, and the result will be the basis of the English communication skills of the applicants, which comprise 15 points. The total percentage score obtained by an applicant shall be multiplied by the weight of 15 points as follows. The percentage score, for example, 98 or 0.98, with weighted points of 15, the rating will be 0.98 times 15 equals to 14.7. So that is your score for English communication skills, or the English proficiency test that is being administered by the Bureau of Exit Assessment under the office of under the Department of Education. So all in all, you have 100 points. Things that you are going to consider if you are planning to apply in the Department of Education. Things that you are going to consider if you want to have a better score as an applicant. I share this to you because I want you to prepare yourself so that you will be on top of those who applied. Especially to my students, to my Bachelor of Secondary Education students, DepEd students, please look into this, because preparation to the actual teaching profession starts right in the very classroom that you have now. Your grades will not be based alone on your skills during the time that you are applying, But from the moment you enter the bachelor's degree course that you have, you need already to consider having a grades better than your performance before, so that you will have a better score comes application to the teaching profession. That's all for this DepEd Order 7 Series 2015. See you all next time in our discussion, our lecture, um, in the different subjects that I want to share to you. Thank you very much and good day.